Imagine this. You're sleeping on a cold bench on Christmas night. The one night of the year the world is supposed to be kind. Then you wake up in hell. The smell of gasoline, the searing, unimaginable pain of flames eating you alive. This was Aaron Taylor's reality. And the monsters who did it, they got away with it. They thought no one would care about a homeless man. They were wrong. Because I found a way to serve them a revenge that would follow them, cold and relentless, for the rest of their lives. If you believe that some injustices are so profound they demand an answer, if you've ever felt that rage boiling in your veins, when the powerful prey on the powerless, then you need to hear this story. Hit that like button, subscribe, and join me down the rabbit hole of a cold case that was never truly cold. This is a revenge served not with violence, but with memory. Paradise Valley Mall in 2007. If you were from Phoenix, you knew it. A temple of consumerism, bright lights, the sound of families shopping. But just outside its glow, in the periphery where the light didn't quite reach, was a different world. A courtyard off Cactus Road, a subway, a Circle K, and a few stone benches. This was the kingdom of Aaron Taylor, a transient, a man the world had forgotten. But let's not define him by what he lacked. Let's try to see him. A man with a name, Aaron. His skin was leathery from the Arizona sun. His clothes worn thin. He wasn't a ghost. He was a person. He had a routine. He knew the employees at the subway who'd sometimes give him a day-old cookie. He'd nod to the graveyard shift clerk at the Circle K. He was a part of the ecosystem, a quiet, unnoticed fixture. And then they showed up. A pack of them. Not men, not yet. Boys aged 17 to 21. They lived in a nearby apartment complex, probably with their parents paying the rent. They had everything Era didn't. Safety, warmth, a future, and they used that privilege as a weapon. To them, Aaron wasn't a man. He was a toy, a punching bag for their boredom and their pathetic, unfocused cruelty. The first time, it was probably a joke to them. They duct-taped him to his own bench while he slept. Can you imagine waking up like that? The panic! The sticky, constricting pull of the tape on your arms, your legs. The sound of their laughter echoing in the empty courtyard as they filmed it on their flip phones. Your entire existence reduced to a punchline. Then, they threw him into a fountain, soaking his only possessions, his clothes, his blankets, leaving him to shiver through the desert night. The humiliation is a physical thing, a cold stone in your gut. You feel your own powerlessness. It's a taste of rust and ash. You look at their smirking faces, and you see nothing behind their eyes. No empathy, just a void. Aaron reported it, they say. But what could he say? A group of young men bullied me. To the police, it's a low-priority nuisance! To Aaron, it was a daily terror. Every shadow held their laughter. Every set of headlights might be them circling back for more. And then came Christmas. December 25th, 2007. The world is inside, wrapped in warmth and family. The courtyard is silent, frozen in the winter chill. Aaron is asleep on his bench, bundled up against the cold, trying to find a few hours of peace on a day that highlights everything he's lost. This is where we have to go, in our minds. To that moment. The crunch of gravel under boots that aren't trying to be quiet. The smell of cheap liquor on the air. The muffled, snickering voices. He must have stirred. Opened his eyes. Seen their silhouettes blocking out the streetlights. Felt the cold splash of alcohol first not on the ground, but on him. Soaking into his clothes, his hair, the stinging smell filling his nostrils. Then, the flick, the whoosh of ignition. A scream that tore through the silent night. A sound so awful the animals probably hid. A human torch where a man used to be flailing in a nightmare of his own skin. And they ran. They didn't call for help. They didn't beat at the flames with their jackets. They ran back to their apartment, back to their parents, back to their safety. They left him there to burn. The fire department came. Paramedics, They did their jobs, spraying the horror away, desperately trying to save a life that was already gone. In doing so, they washed the evidence into the gutters. The gasoline, the fingerprints, the DNA all lost to well-intentioned water. Aaron Taylor was pronounced dead. He didn't die in a hospital. He died on that cold concrete under a sky that didn't care. And then, nothing. Phoenix PD detectives had their suspicions. They knew the stories of the bullying. They knew the group of boys who lived nearby. They knew, but without forensic evidence. Without a single eyewitness willing to say, I saw him light the match. They hit a wall of silence, built by expensive lawyers hired by the boys' parents. These mothers and fathers looked at their sons' boys who might have smelled of smoke and guilt, and their first instinct was untruth, or remorse, or justice for a murdered man. It was protection. Don't say a word. The door to the apartment slammed shut. The case went cold. Aaron became a file in a drawer. And that's where the story was supposed to end. A forgotten tragedy. A footnote. But I couldn't let it. I'm a journalist. Or maybe just a guy with a conscience. I read about Aaron months later. A small blurb in the back of the paper. And it ate at me. That image of him on fire on Christmas? The sheer, unfathomable evil of it. And the infuriating, smug safety of his killers, shielded by money and silence. They thought no one cared about Aaron Taylor. My revenge was to make sure everyone knew his name. This wasn't about breaking the law, it was about weaponizing the truth. I started digging. I found his picture. I talked to the subway clerk, the Circle K cashier. I pieced together the life of the man they killed, not just the death. I wrote his story. Not as a cold case, but as a biography of a life stolen. I named the alleged bullies. I published the apartment complex they lived in. I detailed the parents' strategy of obstruction. I didn't accuse them of murder in print. I simply connected every dot. The police couldn't, and I laid it all out for the world to see. I posted it everywhere. Local forums, community boards, social media. As it began to blossom, the headline was simple. Who murdered Aaron Taylor? And the subtext was clearer. We know who you are. The revenge wasn't swift. It was slow. It was a drip, drip, drip of exposure. First, the online comments. I think one of those guys goes to my gym. I went to high school with him. He was always a psycho. Their names were no longer safe. They were searchable. Associated with the worst story imaginable. Then, the looks. I heard from a source that one of the boys trying to get a job had his potential employer Google his name. The first result was my article. He didn't get the job. He was not a culture fit. Another one tried to move away. But you can't outrun the internet. A new girlfriend's friend would do a quick search. A question would pop up over a beer with new buddies. Hey, isn't that the guy from that Phoenix story? Their parents' plan backfired spectacularly. The silence they imposed didn't protect their sons. It imprisoned them. It made them look guilty to the entire world. There was no trial to be found innocent, and there was only the court of public opinion, and the verdict was unanimous. They are forever the boys who set a homeless man on fire. Every handshake is hesitant. Every introduction is followed by a flicker of recognition in the other person's eyes. They see that flicker, and they know. They are haunted not by police, but by the ghost of Aaron Taylor, whose name I made sure they could never escape. They will never know peace. They will jump at every knock on the door, wondering if it's a reporter, a vigilante, or just their own shame finally coming to collect. That is my revenge. A life sentence of paranoia, forever branded by their own evil. Sometimes, justice doesn't wear a badge. It doesn't come with a gavel. Sometimes, it's just the relentless, unforgiving light of truth shone into the darkest corners. The system failed Aaron Taylor. So memory had to become the weapon. And memory has a longer, colder reach than any prison cell. If this story of silent, relentless vengeance resonated with you, if you believe that some truths deserve to be shouted from the rooftops, then do me a favor. Smash that like button. Let me know in the comments. Would you have done the same? And subscribe. We have so many more stories about justice served in the most unexpected ways. Remember the name Aaron Taylor. It's the least he deserves.